There once was a kind man who lived in the small village of Goldenbrook. The village didn't have much. Not enough water, not enough food. Yet, the folks were happy. They had each other, and that was all they needed to be satisfied. The man was indeed happy, but he wanted more in life. He wished to live a fairy tale. One day, a woman arrived in town. She had long, dark hair and beautiful eyes that shone like the night sky. She came in search of a partner to assist her in different expeditions around the world. The man signed up immediately in hopes of getting to know this mysterious woman. He got the job and learned the woman's name. Victoria. After their first several adventures, the two explorers began falling in love. Before either of them knew it, they were married. They even began to raise a first child together and hoped to raise another. But they didn't live happily ever after. One day, Victoria asked her new husband about a special expedition to find the legendary Orion Gem. Legends from ancient civilizations say the gem came from the constellation Orion itself and was believed to grant one desired wish to each mortal that held it. The gem could bring prosperity to the world, but it could also produce a dark evil if it's in the wrong hands. He knew that no one who searched for the Orion Gem ever returned. The man declined. "It's dangerous," he said. "We'll go insane looking for it," he warned. "But think of the possibilities," Victoria countered. "Solving world hunger, poverty, illnesses," she added. "Think about the poor condition Goldenbrook is going through. Wouldn't you want to help your village and all of the kingdoms and towns going through worse?" The man thought about it. He accepted the offer. They left their firstborn with the man's brother, and, together, the couple set off on their journey. They battled through blizzards, storms, and even quicksand. They ventured to the deepest caves in the farthest mountains. It took about 2 years. An eternity, if you ask Victoria. She was nearly pregnant with their second child until finally they found the Orion Gem. In a lonely cave up on Mount Sunglow, in the ancient city of Apollon, nearly on the edge of the world. The gem illuminated a bright shade of violet, and it sparkled in the dark. "Finally, after all these years," Victoria whispered absently as she walked toward the gem. Her eyes looked almost hypnotized by the Orion Gem's luminescence. "Okay, let's each make our wish and get out of here," the man said. "This place is creepier than I imagined." "Yeah, about that wish." Victoria grabbed the gem and yelped as she dropped it. The man quickly yanked a blanket out of his backpack and placed it underneath the gem before it hit the ground and shattered. Smoke arose and hissed from Victoria's hand. The man wondered if the Orion Gem was actually a burning star from its constellation. "What are you doing?" the man demanded. "We're supposed to make our wishes and go." Victoria picked up the blanket holding the gem. "Why use the gem on others when we can use it ourselves?" The man looked at her in disbelief. "Because it's what we agreed on. Our wishes would help others. Andrew, we are the first people to ever find the Orion Gem. Think of the power we could have." The rubble in the cave started shaking as the couple fought. "I can't let you do this, Victoria. We worked too hard to find the gem, only for you to hoard it all to yourself." "Try and stop me," Victoria warned. Andrew lunged for the gem. Victoria kicked him in the chest, sending him tumbling across the cavern floor. He held his stomach and started breathing heavily. Victoria laughed under her breath. She raised the Orion Gem to her eye level. Her eyes glowed with the reflection of the gem. "I wish." With those 2 words only, the gem began to shimmer as bright as a star. Averting her eyes, Victoria continued. "I wish for my children and me to be granted the strongest powers imaginable." As she spoke each word, The energy around Victoria grew. The millisecond she completed her wish, she was lifted high. She remained suspended in midair, the Orion Gem's luminescence becoming more blinding. Victoria's eyes shut, almost like she was being possessed. Andrew, still lying on the ground in pain, could only muster out, "No, please, no." He watched in horror as the cavern fell apart. Boulders broke the floor around them, and worse, started locking the two explorers in. Andrew desperately tried with all his might to escape before it was too late. He stood on his feet and fought through the fiery pain in his chest from his former wife earlier. Although he struggled at first, he started walking. He managed to dodge the falling debris and get out of the cave. Standing on the ledge of the cliff on Mount Sunglow, he breathed in the crisp evening air. The environment outside looked entirely different from the nightmare fuel he experienced inside the cave. Instead of unstable stone, there were beautiful trees and high canopies. The breathtaking sunset stood out with colors ranging from pink to orange and yellow to a sort of aquamarine. As much as Andrew wanted to take in the view, he focused more on the ship sailing into the Anderville port. If he could reach the ship fast enough, he might just be able to get as far away as he could from Victoria. Just thinking of her name made him feel guilty. They'd been through so much together. Should he give it all up because of her greed? Absolutely, he thought. As if summoning her, Victoria somehow burst through the mountain. The explosion threw Andrew again to the edge of the cliff. He coughed violently as the smoke from the debris surrounded the cliffside. When the dust cleared, Victoria stood before him. Her eyes glowed golden, and her hair now had streaks of gray. She had a murderous look in her eyes, and her hand was still scorched from the gem's touch. She handed Andrew the Orion Gem and said, "Go on, make your wish." He stared at the gem, then at Victoria. She placed it on the ground at Andrew's feet. He took a shaky breath. "I wish." The gem glowed just as it did in the cave. He glared at Victoria. She deceived him and stole the gem for its power. He could only think of one wish at that moment. He confidently placed one finger on the Orion Gem, and as much as it burned, he said, "For our children to not become as evil as you." Victoria gritted her teeth, and she kicked Andrew, causing him to nearly fall off the cliff. He hung on the edge for dear life. They both waited. Nothing. No blinding luminescence. Nobody was getting possessed and elevated off the ground. Nothing but the sound of nature around them. Andrew's voice trembled. I don't understand. Why did nothing happen?" And Victoria laughed. "I'm not sure, but you know what I know?" She set her foot on Andrew's hand, which was already slipping. "You are no use to me." Andrew's eyes went wide. He screamed as Victoria pushed him over the cliff. He was never seen again.